Coming up on show 933, Rivian are not stopping with the R1T and the R1S. They will make a smaller version for Europe and China. Also today, we'll talk about how LG Chem batteries are going to be used in the Made in China Model Y. GM's plans to make more EVs by the middle of the decade. And where is Tesla's northernmost supercharging station just opened? You'll find out today. Well, a quick mention for a very special anniversary today, 21st of November, 12 months on from this. Ouch. Oh, it still stings. Still stings watching it. Obviously, Franz, as you can see, taking to Twitter to look back. Was it intentional? Was it staged? Was it an accident? The debate rumbles on. I don't know, I'm undecided. I mean, it was a lot of publicity, don't get me wrong. They did okay out of it. Okay, let's get into the news today. LG Chem has been chosen as the battery supplier to the Chinese-made Model Y. That vehicle could well be made in very small numbers by the end of the month, November 2020, or maybe December. More likely in larger numbers once we get into 2021. South Korean's battery maker, LG Chem, already a huge battery maker for Tesla, have been chosen. Stiff competition against CATL and Panasonic, of course, other companies that Tesla have a great relationship with. And particularly CATL, the Chinese company, Contemporary Amperex Technology Limited, because they already make the cobalt-free LFP batteries for the Standard Range Plus Made in China Model 3. However, LG Chem, according to the Korea Economic Daily website, have been chosen as the battery supplier for the Model Y, and that is their NCM chemistry, the nickel, cobalt, manganese batteries. You'll find these in the all-wheel drive versions of the Made in China Model 3 already, and now they're going to be put into the Model Y as well. Like I say, mass production will start beginning of 2021, and a big order for the order books of LG Chem to be chosen as the battery supplier of the Model Y made in China. And 2020, well, the way it's shaping up could well end up with Shanghai's Gigafactory making maybe 155 or 157,000 vehicles, pretty much all Model 3s. Like I say, Model Y this year will be tiny numbers. But capacity, as Tesla told us recently, is 250,000 vehicles. That's the installed capacity now. So you've seen how Model 3 has grown over the year. Model Y expected to do that as well. Big spending continues. You know, Tesla telling us this year that the CapEx, their capital expenditure, going up to $5 billion a year for the next 2 financial years. So huge investments, not only in the new facilities in Berlin and Austin, but also Shanghai continues to get bigger. Some people saying they could make 360,000 Model Ys in Shanghai. That is definitely on the upper end of what I've read. 30,000 of them a month? Really? Well, maybe by the end of the year. We'll wait and see. Never say never with Tesla, right? LG Chem are also having a great time of it lately as well. They currently have an installed capacity of 100 gigawatt hours of production of batteries, EV batteries, a year. But in the next 2 years, by 2023, they'll be at 260. So from 100 to 260 gigawatt hours of capacity. They are growing as the EV industry grows. All right, moving on. Headline story today. Rivian will indeed make a smaller version of their cars. Rivian has many fans, many customers, many investors, the likes of Amazon and Ford, putting their money where their mouth is and investing in the company. And now we know smaller models will follow up the first 2 products, the R1S, the R1T, and they'll be made where they're sold. So they're going to make the smaller ones for China and for Europe as well. Rivian plans to begin selling at least the SUV version, the small SUV, whatever it will look like. We've not even seen any ideas yet. In 2022, that's really, really quick. And they think that's going to drive a lot of volume into the business because maybe in China, I'm not so sure, but certainly over here in Europe, we have trucks, but not really big trucks. And also trucks are working vehicles. Again, yes, some people own them as leisure vehicles, but nothing like the truck culture in the US. And also the vehicles are really big, the R1S and the R1T, and our roads, they're pretty old, pretty narrow. So smaller versions would sell very well. So, of course, the Rivian plant in Normal, Illinois, the first production lines are up and underway, and then June, the R1T is delivered, August, the R1S, and they're scaling in a really impressive way as well. We just can't wait to see what these vehicles may look like. Maybe a few people putting some renders online would be nice, just to get kind of an idea of what the smaller Rivians could look like. Okay, still to come, we're talking about Tesla's biggest V3 station in northern China. How many stalls have they put in? I'll let you know. First of all, let's talk GM. General Motors are leaving no room for doubt as to whether or not they will be heading into EVs in a very big way. They have just increased the amount of investment they'll be making in a conference call arranged by the British bank Barclays, adding $7 billion to the pot to make EVs and develop EVs by the middle of the decade. By 2025, that now brings their total investment in EVs and autonomous technology to $27 billion. It's a sensible sized investment, as crazy as it sounds, in order to get that many cars to market. And actually, they're going to be getting those cars to market quicker than would normally take with a combustion platform because of their Ultium batteries and what they call the Ultium platform as well. First time I've heard it called the Ultium platform. They've used that word normally to describe their battery packs. But these platforms that GM have developed and will continue to develop means that they can take their range for a start has gone up from 400 miles, which we heard on EV Day earlier this year, can be 450 now, but also bring those cars to market much quicker. So let me think of an example. Right, so the Cadillac Lyriq was moved up by 9 months. They're going to make the Celestiq as well. There's GMC's Hummer, the truck, and the SUV. There's the Chevrolet Bolt. There's the new EUV. Interesting fact about the Hummer, actually, that I picked up during that conference call watching it, that it's because of their platform, because EVs are just better in every way. That includes better to make as well. What would normally take them 50 months, if they'd sat down and said, let's make a new Hummer, it'd be 50 months until the car came to market. It's 26 months, which is night and day for these car makers. An incredible achievement. There's going to be a Chevy Pickup as well. That's been moved up by 11 months. Goodness me. So much good news coming out of the GM day. Bearing in mind as well, the Hummer. The Hummer ships this time next year, the end of next year. And they're still confident. They said, look, on the roadmap, we don't doubt it will be out next year. But at the moment, there are no drivable development vehicles. There's a couple around that we've seen on YouTubers and influencers have been going, loopy-loo over the Hummer with its demo software, and it moves a couple of miles an hour. They're just plugged into the mains when you see them in these YouTube videos. There's not even a version, though those pictures that we saw of the Hummer going through the mountain ranges and off-road, all CGI. So that's incredible. And GM say, yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna have the car to market on time. Just amazing. We also saw in the background the Hummer SUV. I would reckon about the same specs as the truck, so 350 miles of range, 1,000 horsepower, and 0 to 60. The dash done in 3 seconds. Wow. Okay, let's talk about Tesla opening their largest V3 supercharging station in northern China. It's in the area of downtown Beijing, and it's in an internal car park by the look of the tweet which Tesla China put out. There's 21 of them. 21, all V3s, all V3 superchargers. So, of course, 250 kilowatt charging peak rate. But more important than the peak rate is the throughput of a charging station like that. Beijing, parking's at a real premium, and so you don't want to have a parking space used for hours on end. If a car can come in, charge for 15, 20 minutes and go, that is fantastic. Now, in that area, there's about 45 superchargers and about 34 destination chargers. So it was definitely an area they needed to invest in. Now, they've got some big plans, actually, for this, for the next year. Tesla want to have about 5,000 superchargers built in this program. So we would call them superchargers, DC fast chargers, and 2,000 destination chargers. Now, the Chinese websites that I get this from, they all call them piles, but the destination ones, they'll be the AC chargers from Tesla. So, big news there. Interestingly, when you look at the picture, actually, that thing on the floor, that blue thing on the floor, that is a pop-up barrier. I mentioned that in Beijing, parking is such a premium. So the Tesla pulls in. I think you scan a QR code, something like that, and this thing pops down. You can drive in. People have been parking between them with the line down the middle of their car, which is naughty. Hey, you got to park. You got to park. So let's move on. In a moment, I'll talk about a US bus maker that just made 1,000 electric buses. Which one? I'll let you know. There's a new supercharger opening that is the northernmost in the world. It's 400 miles, it's 400 Ks inside the Arctic Circle. And it is in the location of, I will get this wrong, Varangerbotn. Well, Varangerbotn is near pretty much nothing. If you want to find the next supercharging station, 600 miles to the south in Sweden and 560 kilometers to the west in Norway. And there are 10 new supercharging stations currently being built or under development inside the Arctic Circle itself in northern Scandinavia. There literally is nowhere on planet Earth you can't drive an EV and charge pretty quickly. So did you see this story come across on Twitter, on socials? Tesla firmware in the Model Y seems to reveal there'll be a range boost coming in 2021. The white hat hacker, green the only, found some evidence in the firmware 2020.44.5, which seems to indicate the Model Y gets a range boost from something called an efficiency package. But what is that? The Model Y's had its range boost. All the Tesla models had their range boost this year, coming from more energy-dense batteries from Panasonic to a change of tyre supplier to the heat pump in the Model 3. But the heat pump is already in the Model Y. So what can they do to it to make it go further? Well, in Tesla's case, software, always software. We know there's the 7-seater coming soon, but that wouldn't make the car go further. But maybe this range increase will be made available around the time of the 7-seater hitting the market, which should be in time for Christmas and New Year holidays. We'll wait and see. I don't know. I can't think of what that efficiency package, as it was termed, would be. If you live deep inside that Tesla world, maybe you're on Reddit every day, and this is a global podcast about the move to electric transport, so I can't always dig super deep into those Tesla stories, but I know plenty of people that are. Then let me know in the comments and I can learn from you. So that bus company that just made their 1,000th pure battery electric bus in the US, that would be Proterra. It was Broward County who ordered the 12 of them, and that tipped them over the 1,000. The new Proterra ZX5 bus has a battery pack of 660 kilowatt hours. Holy moly, that's huge. Dual motor. And now they've made 1,000 buses, so congratulations to the team at Proterra. The new ZX5 bus is the 40-footer that you typically see in urban transport, and it's got 550 horsepower. More importantly, because it's an EV, and EVs are just better, it gets off the line really quickly. It'll do 0 to 20 in 6 seconds. And trust me, with slow, stinky, horrible old diesel buses, that really makes a difference if you're stuck behind one. And finally, cute story to end on today. The UK website Buy a Car. I hadn't heard of that. I think it's maybe it's a listing site or something. But they said that after the government announcement of the petrol and diesel ban here in 2030, and we're not a mega car market, we'll sell, I don't know, well, this year's been COVIDed, but maybe 2 million vehicles this year. We're a reasonable size market here. Actually, when the Prime Minister announced the petrol and diesel ban, they saw a 500% increase in searches for EVs. Normally around 300 searches a day, went up to 1,700. Almost 1,700 searches for electric vehicles in the 24 hours after the announcement of the petrol and diesel ban. So these bans might not need to be in place because I think technology is going to move quicker than regulation, than people won't want to drive a hybrid in 9 years' time. Let's face it, technology is going to move pretty quickly. But these announcements are good. They give people clarity, focus, direction, not only the car companies themselves, but also buyers to know, maybe don't buy a diesel because you won't be able to sell it for very much money. So very, very interesting stuff. And that is your show for today. The conversation continues over on the audio version of the podcast, where we dive into these topics a little bit deeper. You can sign up on your favourite app. You can watch more videos over here somewhere. And I'll see you on the next one.